a compensation grade, or we can call it just as grade, a comp grade in Workday will provide the person who is hiring the employee. So it provides like a pay range for the worker. So a pay range is like a minimum and a maximum salary that can be paid for a worker in a specific grade. So let's say in a company there are multiple types of management levels, right? So let's say in a big company there are people who will be at different management level. There will be executive people, there will be executives, then there will be senior managers, we have managers, then we'll have individual contributors, we'll have team leads, then we'll have consultants, business analyst. So there'll be different people at different management levels who will be taking up different responsibilities. Now, the thing is, all of these people will have a different pay range, meaning the salary that will be paid for a senior manager will be different than a salary that will be paid to a manager. Now, there should be a method that can provide. So let's say a recruiter is hiring someone for a senior manager. So the recruiter should have like a definite pay range. Okay, this employee whom I am hiring should be paid a minimum of this salary and a maximum of this salary. So let's take, for example, I'm hiring for a manager. The recruiter who is hiring for this person, who is hiring for this role of a manager, should know that a person who will be hired into a manager role should be paid a minimum of, let's say, $100,000 and a maximum of $170,000. So this is like a pay range, a minimum salary and a maximum salary. You will not pay the employee more than 170,000, or you will not pay the employee less than $100,000. So this pay range will provide, or this compensation grade will provide these pay ranges that will help the recruiters or the managers or the people who are hiring the employees into a specific position, give them a logical range between which they can offer the salary. Now, why do we need this? This is going to help maintain standardizations. So you don't want different employees in the same level to have a different salary. I mean, of course there will be cases where there can be like 10 managers and all 10 managers might have a different salary, but you want to make sure they all fall between a salary bracket, a range, like a minimum and a maximum range. This will help in a lot of this is required for a lot of reasons. Some of them is like, um, you don't want to have a very high pay parity between same levels, which will create problems later, like the people will leave for, there will be high attrition will be there. There will be, uh, you might be paying someone a lot more than the market, you might pay someone a lot less than the market. So if you're paying a lot less than market, that will be a problem, because you will not you might not get the right hires or the good resources for that particular role. If you are paying more than the market, you are practically losing money. So you need like a standard way of saying that, okay, for this particular role, as per the market, this is the minimum salary and this is the maximum salary. So you can be paying somewhere like maybe 120,000 or 150,000. Some managers might be getting 120,000 based on how they negotiate and their current skills. Some employees may be getting just 150 or 160,000, like almost close to the maximum salary. So that, it depends upon how how different organizations work, but a pay range will help to standardize the compensation that will be paid to a specific role. Now, whenever you create job profiles in Workday, so for each job profile, you will be assigning a compensation grade. So for all the job profiles in Workday, you will be assigning a compensation grade. Now this grade will determine what will be the minimum salary and what will be the maximum salary. Okay, so let us see how we can create a compensation grade. Now, there is another aspect. So the compensation grade will also um, you can create compensation eligibility rules. So if you do not want to, so there are multiple ways to use a grade. You can either tag it to a job profile, so you don't have to use a compensation eligibility rule. You just need to add it to the job profile, and then whenever someone is hired into a position that is using this particular job profile, this particular grade will automatically default. That is one way of doing it. That is the Workday standard way of doing it. Another way is using compensation eligibility rules to do it. So let us see how we can create a compensation grade. So create comp grade. All right. So the grades are effective dated. So I'm just going to give 01/01/1900. Now you see there are pay range segments. So let me say what explain what exactly is a pay range segment. Now when you are creating like a minimum and a maximum, so you will be giving a minimum salary, and then you will be giving like a maximum salary. Now, between the minimum and the maximum salary, you should have a way, if you want to divide this into segments, so saying that the minimum is 100,000 and the maximum is 200,000, how do you want to segment it? So if you want to put four segments, so let's say you're going to select, I want to do four segments. I want to divide this into four segments. So what happens is there will be a segment one, there will be a segment two, a segment three, and then we have max. So the max amount will be the segment 4, and this is 0. So not exactly 0, but this is the starting point. So you will have like, let's say, I'm just going to assume something, a few like, this is not the exact calculation, but I'm just going to, so Workday automatically creates these segments for you. Let's say 100,000 to 120,000 is segment 1. So this is segment 1 top, and then we have segment 2 top, like 120,000 to 140,000, let's say. Then 140,000 to 170 60,000, and then segment 4 is 200,000. So you can clearly report on, okay, how many employees are in this particular segment between 120,000 to 140,000, segment 1, or how many employees are in this segment, how many employees are in this segment. Technically, employees who are in segment 3, between segment 3 to segment 4 top, these employees might be people whom you want to promote soon. They might be looking for a promotion soon because they're already in this particular segment. They will soon reach a few years, maybe after a few merit cycles or few annual cycles, they might be very close to 200,000. Now, are you going to be paying more than 200,000, or do you want to change the grade? So generally what happens is, in companies, when employees are almost at this particular segment, they say that, okay, this employee is almost at the top of the segment. If we have to keep this employee, either we are going to, they'll see, okay, is this employee doing a work that can warrant a promotion? Should we promote this employee? So there will be a decision that will be made. If this employee is ready for promotion, they will promote this employee. So when they promote it, the grade might change, which will give them a bit more pay range, where they can pay more than 200,000 for the employee. Another thing to note is that these pay ranges are for uh, what we say guideline. These are like guidelines. These are for guidelines purpose. That means if you pay an employee less than pay range, or if you pay someone more than pay range, Workday is not going to give you any kind of an error. Now you can configure the error if you want to configure, but by default, Workday is not going to give you any kind of error for providing less or more than a pay range. It is more of a guideline for someone who is hiring to see like, all right, generally for somebody who is being hired for this particular grade, this is the pay range. So it would be good for you, for the person to who is hiring, to keep that in mind. Okay, this is the pay range. So whatever salaries you negotiate, please negotiate within this pay range. Now, certain companies will have certain hard and fast rules saying that you should not go beyond the pay range, or you should not go less than pay range. Some companies will have overlapping grades. So let's say in a company, and I have worked on a lot of companies where there are a very huge number of overlaps. So let's say that is grade A, grade B, grade C, grade D, and grade E. So let's suppose these are different grades that these companies have. Grade A maybe, let's say, 50,000 to 90,000. Grade B will be, let's say, 70,000, or maybe this can be like, let's say, 70,000 to 110,000. Now, it is, you see there is some level of overlap. So between 50,000 and 90,000, and between 70,000, so let's say 70,000 starts somewhere here, 70,000 and 100 and 110,000, there is a point where we have this overlap. So there might be employees who are in like, let's say, 80,000 range, someone who is paid 80,000. Should that person be in this or this? Because there is an overlapping range here. So there is no hard and fast rule around which grade should be assigned, or there is no hard and fast rule that, hey, the grade should be like this 50 to 90, and then the next grade should start from 90 only. There is no such hard and fast rule. There can be grades that will overlap at some point, but this is like a general guideline for somebody who is being hired into a specific role, in a specific job profile. What is generally the grades, or what is generally the maximum and minimum salary that is paid according to the market. So what companies do is they will take, they use a lot of surveys. So we have something called as, I don't know if you have heard of this word, benchmarking surveys. Do you know what is this? So companies are like, finding ways to pay less and less salary and get more out of people. So what these benchmarking companies do is they will be associated with a lot of organizations. So let's say these benchmarking companies have 1,000 organizations, uh, with whom they will do the survey. So what they do is they will do a survey of all these companies. So let's take Facebook for example. Facebook is a technology company, right? Now let's take Radford is an actual company that provides benchmarking surveys. What Radford will give is it will give Facebook a list of job profiles, that are there in a company that is usually a tech company. So it'll give them a list of generic job profiles that are in technology company. Now, what Facebook will do is it will take that list. So let's say from that list, when they filter on technology, they get like, let's say 350 job profiles. Now, Facebook will try to do a direct one-to-one mapping. Okay, this job profile, let's take job profile of, let's say, software engineer. So Radford has given a software engineer job profile, and this is very much, or has a one-to-one mapping, or very much similar to our SDE job profile at Facebook, which is software development engineer. Now, Radford will give you, Radford gives Facebook a pay range, like a minimum and a maximum salary. Now, this minimum and maximum salary is collected from actual survey, meaning Radford will go to different companies in the market They will not tell you from which companies they have collected this, but they will go to different companies and they will collect the, okay, what is generally the minimum salary that you are paying for a software engineer? What is the maximum salary that you are paying? So that Facebook can competitively price themselves. So they are not pricing themselves less than market. So they are not paying somebody who is less than market. If you pay less than market, what will happen? Nobody is going to join your company. Everyone will join your competitor, Google or Netflix or whatever. They will not join Facebook. What happens if you are paying more than the market salary? Then a lot of all companies, all employees will prefer to join you, but you will be losing money. You could have hired somebody for less salary. So knowing what is the salaries that are getting paid in the market, that will help you competitively price yourself. So that, let's say there are certain roles that are very important for you, so you might want to price them a bit higher than market salary, so that you have a potential of hiring better resources, so people might want to prefer you instead of other companies. Or you might want to make sure you are not paying a lot higher than the usual. There are certain profiles for which you are able to easily find jobs, or you are able to easily find consultants, so you don't want to pay more than a specific amount. So even now today, if you take, even now, let's take Workday for example, Workday consulting as a job. Workday consultants, these companies like Accenture, Deloitte, all these companies, Allied Solutions, UST, now there are a lot of companies that hire for Workday. They all know what is the market for a consultant. So they know that for a business analyst, what is the salary range? For somebody who is a senior consultant, what is the salary range? Now these companies will have this particular data and they will price themselves. Okay, we will pay a senior consultant somewhere between 30 lakhs to 45 lakhs, let's say. Now the companies will make sure that they negotiate. So they tell their recruiters that your job is to try to get a consultant in the best price range, so that they are okay, minimum we are going to pay this, but try to stick to a price range that is almost near to it. But if some consultants comes and say that, hey, my current salary is almost 40 lakhs, then you have no option, but you have to pay them more than what is getting in order for them to join your company. But you have up to 45 lakhs, so you know what is a budget for a role, and based on that budget, what is given to you based on the pay range, you will the recruiter will start negotiating the salaries. Okay, how much salary can I offer an employee? So if the consultant is asking for a lot more, saying that they cleared the interview but they say I want 55 lakhs, okay, and if they say that, hey, I'm getting another counter offer of 55 lakhs, so if you want to hire me, you have to give me at least 55 or more than 55. The recruiter kind of knows that, okay, this person is just maybe bullshitting, because nobody is paying right now 55 lakhs in the market. um, so they can say that, okay, if okay, you might want to not hire this employee because there might be somebody else for whom we can hire within this particular pay range. So that is why we have these compensation grades. That is why we do this market surveys and stuff. Okay, I hope that you understand the concept behind why do we even need this in the first place. So coming to the segments here, you should use something between 3 to 5 segments. So minimum of 3 segments and a maximum of 5 segments. So I'm just going to use 4 segments here, and let's click OK. So I'm going to say GMS. I'm calling a GMS manager grade. What is a base pay element? So here, instead of using base pay, I'm going to say standard base pay. So base pay element is standard base pay. What is the eligibility rule? I'm not giving any eligibility rule because I will be tagging this particular grade to a job profile. What is the currency? So I'll say, let's say USD is a default currency and the frequency is annual. Now here compensation basis is total base pay by default. What is the minimum salary that you want to pay? So let's say I want to pay 100,000 as a minimum salary and a maximum salary. So segment 4 top is the maximum. So maximum I want to pay 200,000. Now if I give calculate segments, Workday will automatically calculate the segment 1 top, the segment 2 top, the segment 3 top, and segment 4 top. See, I was almost accurate. So when I created these segment 1 to segment 4 tops here, I was kind of almost accurate. You can see that segment 1 top is around 125,000, segment 2 is 150,000, segment 3 is 175, and then segment 4 is 200,000. So when you assign an employee to this particular compensation grade, you can see that, okay, this is the grade that is assigned to the employee, and we have this as a minimum salary and this as the maximum salary. Now let us go ahead and start looking at some of the employees who already have these compensation grades assigned. If you go to compensation, you will see what is the compensation grade assigned to the worker. So this is the grade. You can see the grade is called team member, and then the grade there is something called as a grade profile. Now let us discuss in when you already have a compensation grade, why do you need a compensation grade profile? Now yesterday we discussed about allowance plan profiles. Why do you need an allowance plan profile? For localization purposes. So when I say localization, let's say you have a compensation grade. You are going to call it as manager grade. Now you would like to use this particular compensation grade across globally. So let's say the company has a presence in, let's say 100 countries. It's a big company. It has presence in 100 countries around the world. You want to use the manager grade in all the 100 countries. Now the grade range for a manager will be different in different countries. For an employee in for USA, for India, let's take software development engineer. The salary of a software development engineer in the US would start somewhere around 150,000, can go up to 320,000 dollars. For the same role in India, you would be paying that employee around, let's say 38, 35 lakhs to 80 lakhs. Now you can see that there is a change in the there is a difference in the pay range. If you convert 150,000, so 150,000 is almost around 1 point, I think 1.3, 1.3 to 1.4 crores. I think it is 1.4 crores. If you take just $150,000 in if you convert $150,000 into INR, that is close to 1.4 crores. So it does not make sense for an employer to pay 1.4 crores in India, but just 150,000 in USA. So generally, the compensation ranges are determined based on the country and the state where the employee stays. Even even in India, if you take a company like let's say Infosys, or you take a company like Infosys or Accenture for the matter of fact here, they have presence in different states in India. They are in tier one cities. Nowadays, Accenture has been really expanding into tier two and tier three cities. So they have set up their delivery centers in Jaipur, Chandigarh. So a lot of these different tier two cities, they have been setting up their compensation. Their delivery centers. So let's take a consultant profile. Even within a country, you might be paying a consultant a different salary in, let's say, Jaipur compared to a consultant in Mumbai. Now, why is this the case? Can anyone guess? There is a consultant, there are two consultants. There is a difference in the cost of living for someone who is in Jaipur compared to someone who is in Mumbai. So you will be paying a higher salary in Mumbai compared to what you are paying in Jaipur, right? So see, even similarly, you might be paying a different salary for somebody who is in the US, because the cost of living and the general price of items in the US is a lot higher than the cost of living in India, than the cost of living in, let's say, some European country, than the cost of living in some African country. So there will be a difference in pricing of how employees are paid in different countries. Now, if you want to use the same compensation grade, so you have a manager grade, you want to use this manager grade globally. You don't want to create separate manager grades for every country. You want to use the same manager grade, but you want to also create grade profiles for localization. So let's say if the country is India, you have a specific pay range of 35 lakhs to 80 lakhs. If you are from the US, if the employee is from US, they are paid a pay range of 150,000 to 320,000. If the employee is from Canada, you have a different range. For an employee in India, you'll be paying this employee in what? INR. For an employee in the US, you will be paying in USD. So there is a currency aspect to it. There is a range aspect to it. So these are the cases where you will use uh, grade profiles to determine what you will be paying an employee and at what time. Okay. And so when you're hiring an employee, if you have a grade, you might also want to create a grade profile that will be localized for the location or the country of the employee. So if you see here, if I go to this particular compensation grade, you will see that you can also create compensation grade profiles here. So each grade profiles, for example, you see here, there are 183 grade profiles, and the compensation eligibility rules will determine how and when these compensation grade profiles will be assigned to the worker. So if a worker is assigned to a team member grade, and that person is from Australia, this is a grade profile that will be applicable. So the grade is team member and the grade profile is Australia, and the minimum is 49,000, the maximum is 77,000. So an employee will be paid something between this, and you can see the currency and the frequency. So the currency is AUD and the frequency is annual. Similarly, you have Austria for different countries. You have, for each country you have configured a pay range. Now midpoint is basically, so let's say there is 100,000 to 200,000. There will be a midpoint of, there will be a midpoint, right? What is the midpoint for this? 150,000. That's it. That is the midpoint. What is the mid salary?
Okay.
So Workday will give like a minimum, midpoint, and maximum. So this is if you are using three segments. So minimum to midpoint and then midpoint to maximum. If you're using four segments, then minimum, segment one, segment two, segment three, and max. If you're using five segments, minimum, segment one, segment two, segment three, segment four, and then max. Very few companies use five, most companies use four. Make sense? So whenever, and now an important thing. So whenever you are hiring an employee, when you hire an employee, if you have observed, when we created the salary plan, we did not put any frequency, we did not put any currency. The reason is the frequency and the currency of the salary plan is derived from the grades and grade profile assignments. So if an employee is only assigned the grade, whatever is the default frequency and currency maintained on the grade will be the currency of the salary plan. So let's say GMS salary plan. If the employee is from the US and is assigned a US compensation grade or a grade profile, what is the frequency on the grade? Oh, okay. The frequency on the grade is annual. What is the frequency on the grade profile? If you have a grade profile for US, the grade profile will be assigned. What is the frequency on the grade profile? It is annual. So the salary plan will be in annual frequency. And what is the uh, currency on the grade profile? It is USD. So that is the currency of the salary plan. So the currency and the frequency on the salary plan is directly derived from the grade profile of the worker. Let us look at some of the existing employees compensation grades. So what I'll do is, so this employee is from, let's say this guy is from Australia. So you can see the location is Canberra, which is in Australia. If I look at the compensation details of this employee, you can see that the entire compensation is in AUD and annual. The reason it is in Australian dollars and annual is because the grade profile that is assigned to the employee, you can see here, the grade profile is in annual frequency and the currency. So the salary will also be in AUD and annual. If I look an employee who is from, let's say, some European country, you can see that here the salary is in euro and annual. And the reason is the grade profile that is assigned to the employee is in euro. So whenever you are creating a grade profiles, let's say you are going to use grade profiles. So you have a grade configured. At the grade level, you are saying, okay, this grade is in USD, and you define some kind of a pay range at the grade level. But you also want to use grade profiles. Whenever Workday is going to look for assigning a grade profile and a grade to an employee, Workday is first going to come into grades. It will come and check what is a grade that is eligible for the worker. From where do you get the grade? So whenever you are creating a position, you'll be using a job profile on the position. On the job profile, you will mention the compensation grade. So if I go into the job profile of this employee, so go to summary. If I go and look at the job profile, this is a job profile. This is a position where this employee is hired. If I go to the position, you can see that this position is associated with a job profile called regional manager. If I go to this job profile, and if you navigate to compensation, you can see generally this is where the compensation grade is maintained, and this is a Workday standard. Generally, if you are going to use compensation grades, you would tag the compensation grade to a job profile, and that is the most easiest way, and that is the best way to do it, because based on the job profile, the grade will automatically default. Once the grade defaults, Workday is going to check, is there any grade profiles configured? Okay, I can see there are 15 grade profiles. Let us see if the employee is eligible for any of these grade profiles. Now on the grade profile, you will configure eligibility rules. On the grade profiles, you will have eligibility rules configured on the grade profiles, and based on the eligibility that is maintained, Workday is going to determine, okay, this is the correct grade profile that the employee is eligible for. Now, if there is a scenario where there are two grade profiles which are eligible for the worker, so worker is eligible for this one as well as this grade profile, what would happen? Workday is not going to default any grade profile for the employee. It will just default whatever grade is eligible, and the person who is assigning the compensation for the employee should select either this grade profile or this grade profile. So they should make a decision that, okay, this is a grade profile that I want to choose for this employee, or this is the grade profile that I want to choose. I don't want to choose this one. Because both of them are eligible, Workday will not make a decision on your behalf stating that, okay, this is a great profile that I'm going to assign for this employee. Workday will leave that particular decision to you for them to choose. Hey, okay, there are two great profiles. Which one you want to choose? Okay, this is the one you want to choose. Okay, that is the one that will be defaulted. Now here they have not maintained a compensation grade. So what happens if they do not maintain a comp grade? It will look at the compensation grade eligibility rule. So either you, if there are multiple ways of defaulting. So if you are going to maintain it on a job profile, this will take the high precedence, meaning first it will check if there is anything mentioned on the job profile. If that is there, it will default from the job profile. If it is not maintained on the job profile, it will come to the compensation grade and check if we have an eligibility rule maintained. If we have a eligibility rule maintained, if it has an eligibility rule maintained on the grade, based on the eligibility rule, it will default. So first it will check on the job profile if you have a grade mention. If you don't have it on the job profile, it will go and default based on the eligibility rule defined on the compensation grade. Is this grade and grade profile concept clear to you? Now
Yes, sir.
let us discuss compensation package. Now defined you have defined compensation grades. You have defined different salary plans. If you have any custom comp basis, you have defined the compensation basis as well, suppose. Now, whenever you are hiring an employee, I want to make sure that this particular, from the list of grades that I have defined, I want one grade to default for the employee. Based on the grade that is default, I want a grade profile to be automatically assigned to the employee. I want, from the list of salary plans, I want the employee to be assigned a salary plan. So I didn't mention it as salary plan. Let me change this to compensation plans. So it's not just salary plan. I want a few salary plans to be defaulted from the compensation plan. So one salary plan and these specific allowance plans are eligible for the worker. Okay. So how do you want how do you want to define that? Hey, I have 10 compensation plans defined. Out of this 10, if the employee is eligible for any of these 10, I want them all to be automatically assigned to the employee. I want this compensation basis, if eligible, should be assigned. So what you'll do is you'll package it. You will create a compensation package, create like a comp package, and you'll say that, okay, this compensation package has these grades, these compensation plans, and these bases. So whenever you are, and you will assign an eligibility rule to this compensation package. So whenever you are hiring an employee, Workdays will check, okay, which compensation package is eligible for the employee. This is a compensation package. How many grades do you have mentioned in this comp package? Okay, there are 10 grades. Which grade is should be assigned to the employee? It will assign the grade. From the grade, it will assign the grade profile. Which compensation plans are eligible for the employee? It will assign the compensation plans from this particular comp package. Which compensation basis? If there is no comp basis, it will automatically assign total base pay. If any custom comp basis is eligible for the worker, it will assign the custom comp basis from this list. So this comp package will drive the defaulting. This is important when, let's say, your customer wants the assignments to automatically happen. So the person who is hiring don't have to think about, hey, for this compensation grade, for this employee, this is the comp package and these are the compensation plans and these are the compensation grades that should be assigned for this particular employee. They don't want to make that decision. They want to just define the rules, and Workday should automatically make those defaulting decisions for those particular comp packages. So that is when we will create compensation packages. So if I go and look for the compensation package for any of these workers, so like example, this person is from London. This person is from London. If I go and look at the comp package of this person, you can see in the compensation, you will see there is a something called as a comp package. So if I open this compensation package, you will see this compensation package has an eligibility rule configured. So first it will check if the employee is eligible for the comp package. If they are eligible for the comp package, it will come to the compensation grade. So there is only one comp grade that is mentioned. So if this comp grade is eligible for the worker, it will assign this comp grade. From this comp grade, if there are compensation grade profiles that are mentioned, it will check which compensation grade profile is the best match. So it will check, okay, there are 183 compensation grade profiles. Which compensation grade profile is the best match? And how does it know? Based on the eligibility rule, it will assign that particular compensation grade profile, and then it will look for compensation plans. There are 17 comp plans. So out of these 17 compensation plans, which compensation plans is eligible for the worker? So an employee might not be eligible for all of these comp plans, but for the compensation plans to default, it will look for this list. So out of these 17 plans, maybe all 17 plans are eligible, so it will default. When I say default, meaning it will automatically assign the values to the employee, so that you don't have to manually select from the list of compensation plans. It will automatically assign. Similarly, in the comp basis, so if you do not mention anything in the comp basis, the default workday delivered comp basis, which is total base pay, will be assigned to the worker. If you are defining a custom compensation basis, then that custom compensation basis is what will be assigned to the worker. Let us go ahead and start hiring someone, and I'll show you how that works. So for me to assign a particular comp package, so let's say I want to assign an employee. Let's take this employee for example. I'll hire somebody in the US, and we'll see which compensation package is assigned to this employee. Okay, let's hire an hourly worker, and hourly workers comp package. You can see that this is the compensation package, and this is the eligibility rule. So job profile is hourly. So any job profile that has a pay rate of hourly, okay, they have a few additional rules, like the compensation group should be hourly. So what is a comp group? So in the job profile, if they have a compensation group called as hourly, so based on the compensation group, and the country should be of should not be in the salaried list, and the pay rate should be hourly. So if the pay rate is hourly, it would automatically assign this particular compensation package. And from the compensation package, there are two compensation grades that is eligible for a worker, so it would automatically assign. Or what we can also do is, we'll go and do a promotion for this worker. So let's say this employee is currently an hourly worker, and I want to move this employee from San Francisco to a different state. Let's say I want to move this employee to uh, Canada, and I'm going to take this particular job profile. So I will change the job profile for the employee. I will change the job profile to facilities administrator, or not facilities admin. This is an hourly job profile. I want to change it to something like a salaried job profile. All right, let us change the job profile to associate consultant. So how do you do it? I'll go to the actions, change job. So job change, promote and transfer. I'll say I'm going to make this change effective 11th. I want to do like a transfer. Let's say what is his manager, Dustin Worth. I'm just changing the employee's manager now. So moving this employee under a new manager. So I'm moving to Dustin Worth. And where will this person be after the change? I'll say this person will be in Toronto. So I'm just okay, which team? I want to assign this employee to let's say this particular supervisory organization. So that is the team that this employee will be. So I'll say this employee will be in this particular team, and I am moving this employee to Toronto. So that is the location, this is the team, and this will be the new manager. If I start this, it will ask you, okay, so when I'm moving this employee, what do you want to do? Do you want to backfill this headcount? So backfill meaning, let's say an employee is moving from this particular position. This is the current position into another manager. So it is going into another supervisory org. So this employee is currently holding a position. Do you want to backfill this position? Meaning, do you want to keep this position vacant? So this position will go vacant, and then there should be another position in this particular org where this employee will be leaving this particular position and moving to a different position. Do you want to do that, or do you want to move this position entirely from here to here? So you are going to take this chair from this org to this org. Do you want to do that? So there are two options to do it. If I'll choose that I want to backfill this position, if I choose this, the next question that they ask is, okay, so what is the position in that new org? So I don't know if we have any positions opened in that new org, because if I go here, I don't see there are any positions available. So it is empty. So that is the reason you're not seeing any positions. So instead of saying that, what I'll say is I want to move this position. I'll say move this headcount to a new manager. What that means is this employee's current position, whatever is the current position for that employee, I am moving that position from this particular supervisory org to a different supervisory org. So in that case, it will not ask you any position because you already have a position. You're just moving that position from along with the employee as well to a new supervisory org. Now here in the job profile, I'm just going to change the job profile of the position. I'll say associate consultant. Click next. The location is Toronto because we mentioned Toronto here. Details, so I'm okay with. I'll just change the pay rate type from hourly to salaried. So the pay rate type will now become salaried, and then I'll go next. This is all good. Now, if I look at the compensation, you can see that in the compensation there are certain things that changed. So you would see that earlier it used to be hourly, now it became team member, because now this employee is no longer a salaried employee, and the compensation package that is now eligible for the worker is a different comp package. It is again based on the eligibility rule. So based on the eligibility rule, you have a compensation package assigned, you have a compensation grade assigned, and you have a compensation grade profile. So the Canada automatically defaulted. This is what I'm talking about. So a person who is doing this transfer, they don't have to think, hey, this person should be assigned a grade profile of Canada, this person should be assigned a grade profile called team member. Workday is going to do that particular work for you, and it also automatically assign the salary plan, and the details of the salary plan is also automatically given. And you can see that the employee was earlier assigned an hourly plan. You can see X marks here. That means the hourly plan has been removed. The salary plan automatically defaulted. Now, from where are we getting this particular defaulting happening? It is happening from the compensation package. In team member comp package, let us look for somebody who has that particular team member comp package. So this is the team member comp package. So if I go to this particular comp package, you can see that in this comp package, we have this compensation grade, and then we have these compensation grade profiles. So based on, so let's say salary was the compensation plan that was assigned. You can see that salary plan, and from where are we getting these currency and frequency? If I go to this salary plan, you will not see there is no currency maintained or there is no frequency maintained here. It comes from the compensation grade profile. Since it is Canada grade profile. The frequency on the Canada grade profile is CAD, and the currency on this Canada grade profile is uh, what is the currency? It is annual currency. So you will be entering an annual value here. So I'll enter the salary as, let's say, so now you can see that there is a guideline for someone who is entering the salary. You should be entering something between 55,000 and 85,000. So I'll say I'm going to assign 60,000 Canadian dollars as the salary for the worker. Let us look at the merit. So the merit value also changed. So earlier it used to be some merit hourly, now merit salary got defaulted. There is a different bonus plan. All this is coming from where? From the compensation package. In the compensation package, there are about 17 to 18 compensation plans that are defined, and based on which compensation plan is eligible, how would Workday determine the eligibility? Based on the eligibility rules configured on the compensation plan, it is going to default these compensation plans. So these are the comp plans that are eligible for the worker. And once I have assigned these compensation plans, now you can see the total base pay was It is now 60,000 was $19 per hour. So you can see now it is annual. It used to be 19 USD hourly. I'm going to click next and now submit this. So when I submit this, it will of course go for some the additional approvals. So I'm just going to complete the business process here. So I'm proxying as Dustin Worth. So it is still in progress. It has to be approved by Logan McNeil. So I'll just stop proxy. This is a long business process. I have to complete all these steps. Let me see what is the status of the business process here. Okay, it says it is successfully completed. In that case, I can see that Ben Adams will now have been transferred to a new manager. So if you see here, the manager for this employee is now Dustin Worth. If you look at the compensation, you can see now the compensation is $60,000, and you can see the salary and some of the other components. All right, so that is how you can that is how the compensation grade and grade profiles will influence what is a currency, what is a frequency, how the compensation package is going to determine which grade, which compensation plan, and what compensation basis will be assigned to the employee. It is all automated in Workday. So only if you define the comp package, you can automate these things in Workday. So if you want to see the compensation of this worker before it was 60,000, this is, you can easily go to the actions, move to compensation, view compensation. And here, if I look at the compensation as of, let's say 9th, you will see that this employee had a hourly compensation. So you can see the grade profile was hourly. Now, as of today, if you look the value as of, let's say 12th, you can see that the latest compensation values are saying. So you can see 60,000, which is the latest compensation. You can also look at the worker history. So there is something called as worker history for an employee. Every employee, all the transactions that is being executed for an employee can be found in the worker history. So if you go to navigate to job, and if you go to worker history over here, and if I scroll to view worker history by category, you can see what is all the transactions. So it will show you by category. So let it open all the transactions first. So you can see all the staffing transactions, all organization level transaction, or personal data transactions, like changing the name, the other IDs, and whatever, the compensation transaction. So if you can see that I recently did a transfer and changed the compensation, you can see the changes over here. So you got a new salary plan assigned. The hourly plan that was currently, it was an hourly plan, it got deleted. This merit plan got deleted. You can see new merit plans assigned. You can see what is the compensation, new compensation plans that are assigned to the worker. Also here, if you are going to do a transaction change, you can see, okay, earlier, as of 2/1/2023, there was a change to the merit. So earlier it was in the merit cycle, earlier salary was 18 USD per hour. Now it became 19 USD. So when was that? As of uh, 1st of uh, 1st of February 2023. If I go to Ben Adams and look at his salary as of January 1st, 2023, let us look at the salary. So you can see that as of January 1st, 2023, the salary was different. So it was like something like $18 per hour. Wait a second. So 2/1/2023, right? So 2023, you can see the value was $18 as of 1st of February. So if I go to 31st of January, you will still see it is $18. If I go to 1st of February, you can see the value is now changed to $19. From where did I found that, okay, as of 1st of February, this particular value changed? It is easy. I just went to the worker history of the employee and looked at the worker history. Go to worker history. Here you'll find all the transactions. So it is like kind of unorganized as of effective date. I can just view worker history by category to determine the right, to look at the right, if I just want to see all the compensation transactions, I can just go to compensation here, and I can see all the changes that has been happened since this employee has joined. I did give you a short overview of what comp basis is. So a comp basis will determine the total remuneration that is paid to the employee. There are three delivered compensation basis. It is called as total base pay, total salary and allowances, eligible earnings override. So these are the three delivered compensation basis. Total base pay is the default comp basis, meaning any employee you hire will have a default comp basis or called total base pay. And this is the primary compensation basis. So there is something called as primary compensation basis in Workday. By default, the primary compensation basis is total base pay. However, if you want to define, a custom comp basis, if you, let's say you defined a custom compensation basis, if that custom compensation basis is eligible for the worker, that will become the primary compensation basis, but total base pay is still going to be available as a value on the compensation profile. So you might have observed that, let's take an example of, there was this employee here, not this employee. Let's take Ben Adams, for example, here. If I go to the compensation, you might be seeing there are three components here. You have total salary and allowances, you have total base pay, and then there is something called as total compensation. So from where are you getting this total compensation? This is a custom compensation basis. So we'll see how this custom compensation basis is assigned. Let me go to compensation basis. So this is where you will configure all the compensation basis. So maintain, manage compensation basis. You see, maintain compensation basis. You will see that these are delivered comp basis. So you have total base pay, total salary and allowances, eligible earnings override. If you want to hide total salary and allowances, you can totally hide that particular component. You can go to edit tenant setup. In HCM, you can hide the total salary and allowances for the employee. So if I go here, and you can say that in compensation, if I want to hide the total salary and allowances, I can hide it. So the employee, so if I just refresh this, you will see that total salary and allowances is no longer available on the compensation plan profiles, on the compensation snapshot, because I have hidden it. If I unhide it, it will be available for the employee. So you can hide this one, but you cannot hide the total base pay. An employee will always have total base pay no matter what, and the total base pay is always the sum of all the compensation plans that have a base pay assigned to their comp element. All right. Now, what exactly is this total compensation? If I go to maintain comp basis, you will see there are a lot of configurable compensation basis that is assigned on for this particular, in this particular tenant. So there are a lot of these comp basis. Now, some of these compensation basis, you can see that it is used to view compensation, and some of these compensation basis are not used for compensation. For example, these three compensation basis, it is not used for viewing compensation, whereas certain other comp basis is used for viewing compensation, and then you can see a ranking over here. Now let us understand how this is configured. So there are two reasons why you need a custom comp basis, which is not total base pay. One is for calculation purpose, and one is to view compensation. Now, why do you want to view compensation as a different element when you already have total base pay? Total base pay, like we have been discussing, this will only look at the plans that have base pay as the comp element assigned. However, let's say an employee is eligible for a salary plan and there are a bunch of merit plans and bonus plans and allowances that are assigned. I want a total of all these components. So it's not just total base pay or total salary and allowances. If I just take total salary and allowances, it is going to be the salary plan and just the allowance plan. What about the merit and stock and all the other plans? It is not considered. So I want to consider all the compensation plans and see a sum of all the compensation plans and use it as a basis for my as a compensation basis. So that will be used for all the future calculations and that is the total salary of the employee, not total base pay. If I want to determine it based on that, what I can do is I can create a custom compensation basis called, let's say in this particular case, I'm going to call it as total compensation. You can name it anything. So in total compensation, I can mention that this should include these specific salary plans. It should include these allowance plans, these merit plans. So it will have a list of all the compensation plans that are configured in our tenant. You can either choose all salary plans or you can choose these specific salary plans, these specific allowance plans, these specific merit plans. And whenever an employee is assigned any of these compensation plans, it will all be taken into consideration as the total compensation for that worker, and it will show up as a total compensation value. Now, when do you want to use calculation? I don't want to use compensation basis for checking out the comp. Like I don't want it to show me the total comp, but I want to use it as a basis for calculations. For example, yesterday we were discussing the concept of CTC in India. So in CTC, how it happens, 50% of total CTC will be the basic salary, and the HRA component is always 50 percentage of the basic. It is not 50 percentage of CTC. Now, how would you calculate 50 percentage of basic? So what you'll do is you'll create a custom compensation basis called as basic salary, and in that particular basic salary, you will use the compensation plan called as base salary. And whenever it calculates 50 percentage of CTC, it would automatically add that particular value to the comp basis, and then you will calculate. So we'll see, we'll come up with a test case scenario that will demonstrate view compensation as well as calculation. So let us look at this particular employee. This employee, I can see the employee that we are working on. This employee has total compensation as the primary compensation basis. So if you see anything else other than total base pay in this particular sheet, that means that employee is eligible for a custom comp basis, and that will be the primary compensation basis. Total base pay will become the secondary compensation basis. If there is no primary compensation, if there is no custom comp basis, then total base pay by default will be the primary compensation basis. If I go to maintain compensation basis here, you can see this one is called total compensation. If I look for total compensation, see, this is where it is maintained. If I click on this particular magnifying glass, or if I even edit this, it will open the configuration page for compensation basis. So here, based on the eligibility rule, you can determine which plans should be part of the total comp basis. Now you can see that all the compensation plans are selected here. So they have all salary plans, all bonus plans, and all allowance plans, all stock plans have been configured as have been included in this comp basis, and hence the employees getting a value of 72,000. So 60,000. So let us see how this particular value is calculated. So this employee is now getting a salary of 60,000 annually, plus you can see that this employee has um, a merit of 3%, a bonus of 15%, and a stock of 5%. So if I just take a screenshot of this. Let us see how it is calculating. So if I go to this particular comp basis here, go to comp basis, I know that this particular stock plan, is it taking stock plans into consideration? Yes, it is taking stock plans into consideration. So 5% plus 15% of annual, is it taking uh, where is it, what kind of plan it is? It is a bonus plan. Is it taking any bonuses into consideration? Yes, it is taking all the bonuses into consideration. So this is how the calculation is happening. 60,000 plus, let's look at the stock plan that is configured for the worker. So it is 5% of total base pay. Okay, so 5% of total base pay is 60,000 plus 3%. 3 into 60, how much is 3% of 60 is 18,000. 18,000 or 1,800 plus 3, 1,800 plus 15% of annual salary. So 15%, say 15% of it is 9,000. Stock is 5%. So 5% is 3,000. So 60,000 plus 1,800 plus 9,000 plus 3,000. So how much is the total salary for the employee? Yeah, I want to see if that is the right salary that is being showed. Let me look for Ben Adams. It shows 72,000. So one of these plans is not. So I did incorrect calculation somewhere. I think it is. Is it bonus? What is 15% of what? This is also 15% of total base pay. But then there is a target. Let us look at this one. Okay, 15%. Or merit is not calculated. Merit is not calculated. So it will be. So this will not be calculated. So 60,000. So that is correct, right? 60,000 plus 9,000 plus 3,000. So 72,000. What if I remove this 3,000? Meaning, from where are we getting this 3,000? We are getting it from the stock. If I go to this compensation plan, and if I say no stock plans, what would happen to the value? It will become now 69,000. So I'm removing this stock from the compensation basis. If I click OK here, and if I refresh this, you'll see the total compensation of this employee is now going to change to 69,000. See, because I removed stock from this. I said only salary plans and bonus plans and allowance plans are eligible. Stock plans are not eligible. If I add the stock back here, all stock plans, you'll see that the employee will now be eligible. What if I want to add stock plans, but I want to add a specific stock plan? So I don't want, let's say the employee is assigned stock team member. I want to add stock plan, but not that particular stock plan. So you can select which stock plans you want to add. So I will select this stock plan, this stock plan, this stock plan, but not stock team member. Now see what would happen. It will again go back. It will be 69,000 only. It will not change because I have not included this particular value. However, if I go back and add that particular stock plan, if I say that, okay, I want to add this, I will just remove all these. You can see now the value is going to change to 72,000. See? So this is how custom compensation basis will help in determining which stock plans or which compensation plans to be included in the total remuneration. Now, I have also mentioned that you can see something called as a ranking over here. So let us say that the employee is we created multiple compensation bases, like this is comp basis 1, So this is comp basis 1, this is comp basis 2, we have comp basis 3, we have comp basis 4. Now you also have to mention ranking for each of these comp bases. So rank 1, rank 2, rank 3, rank 4. What Workday does is, whenever it assigns compensation, first it checks, are there any compensation bases that are used to view compensation? So not for calculating, but for viewing the compensation. Okay, I have found that there are 4 compensation bases. It will now check, is compensation basis 1 eligible? Okay, it is eligible. Is compensation basis 2 eligible? Yes, it is eligible. Is compensation basis 3 eligible? It is not eligible. Is compensation basis 4 eligible? Yes, it is eligible. So there are now 4 comp bases that are eligible for the worker. Workday is going to default or use the comp basis with the lowest rank. So this is rank 1. So this will be the comp basis that will be assigned. What if this comp basis is not eligible for the worker? It will use this comp basis. If this is not eligible, if then comp basis 4 will be used. So if there are multiple comp bases that are eligible for the worker, it will assign the comp basis based on the rank. Or if you create the comp basis, you have to still provide the rank. But if the rules are tight, meaning at any point in time there can only be one compensation basis that will be eligible for the employee. So regardless of the rank being 4, that will be the comp basis that will be assigned to the worker. So you also have to use the ranks accordingly. So whichever comp basis should be assigned first, and based on the eligibility rules, the comp basis assignments will happen. So you can see that the rank over here is, if I change this to 3, it will not allow. It says that there is already a rank 3. I can change this to 99, it will allow. So you cannot have duplicate ranks. You cannot have one comp basis with the same rank as another comp basis. It should always be a unique rank in the comp basis. Now, based on the ranks assigned, Workday is going to determine, okay, these are the ranks assigned. Out of these comp bases, which ones are eligible for the worker? And based on the eligibility, it will determine, okay, from these comp basis, which one should be assigned to the worker, which one should not be assigned, and it will automatically default the correct compensation basis for the workers.